Good morning, Hey Brew Crew. Good to see everybody on a wonderful day after Christmas. Happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day, everyone.
Yes, that's where we take all of our Christmas wrapping and presents here and we throw them in the fire and watch them, burn and sing songs and dance around the circle, right? Is that what Boxing Day is?
No, Eric. Boxing Day is, in fact, a very British holiday dedicated to three sacred traditions: leftovers, leisure, and pretending you're not avoiding your family. So
Well,
let's
because
be let's be honest, it makes it the most POTA compatible hobby ever invented.
maybe at the same time, I am avoiding my family who is currently upstairs and I'm down here doing a podcast. So what does that say about
See, there you go. Me too.
it? All right. Well, there you go. Well, let's just start this thing off here. As I said, I'm Eric, N1JUR, and I'm with the hostess, with the mostest, quelling all of those rumors that had spread across the internet about her getting fired and laid off and cut loose because of, budget cuts and stuff like that. Yeah, Shannon's here.
Yeah.
She's going nowhere.
He can't fire me that easily, guys. So
No.
I'm Shannon, KC1OHT here in the United States, or 2 Echo Zero Oscar Hotel Tango if you are in the land of King Charles III.
There you go. All hail the king. All right. So we are your park guides, the mentors and lovers of all things POTA, of course. Welcome to another Brew and Activate, guys. So it's Merry Christmas, I think. Happy New Year. I mean, we obviously said Boxing Day, so we're all here to celebrate all of the fun holidays. Hopefully your Christmases were fun and you had radio gear under the tree, maybe an antenna. I know there was definitely some lights strung up and tuned up, so we'll get into some of those in a bit. But maybe you're here for the first time. I see a bunch of folks in the chat there that I haven't recognized. This is Brew and Activate. We love to explore, analyze, reconstruct. We tear into POTA every which way, just like a kid on Christmas Day ripping through presents here. We love to talk about whether you're an activator, whether you're a chaser, or whether you're just general curious about the hobby. You've come to the right place, my friends. Welcome, and thank you again for hanging out with us this morning here on Friday. So with that, how was your holiday, Shannon, before we kick things off here? What any interesting tidbits? You get anything fun or exciting to do?
Well, it was Christmas. For those of you guys that know the city of Lynn, we have an amazing Christmas parade that drives through the entire city on Christmas Eve, and it goes
I did
right
not know
by
that.
my house. So lots of people, they decorate their trucks and their cars and their ATVs and motorbikes with lights and music and inflatables,
Oh,
and they drive around honking their horn and waving at kids and throwing candy. So it's always a big highlight of Christmas Eve.
mm-hmm.
So we did that,
Well,
and then Miles went to bed. Santa Claus came, and we woke up the next morning and tore into some really cool presents.
very cool. Well, I was going to ask first and foremost, isn't that a normal day in Lynn where people driving around their ATVs, honking their horns and stuff like that? That
Yeah,
sounds
but
pretty
not.
normal.
But usually they don't have Christmas lights.
Okay, so yeah,
That's the difference.
nobody's flipping birds and saying Merry Christmas at the same time, right?
Exactly.
Mhm. Those that have driven through Lynn know that very well. All right, well, cool. Well, let's get into a little bit of our usual administrative stuff here. A couple of things. We obviously have every week we do this live stream. We do it ad free. So with that, we make sure that you guys don't get uninterrupted action direct to us. So with that, obviously we can definitely use your support. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can obviously do that through our super chats, through memberships. And I always have a weekly goal that I like to, reach out and kind of give back. And so this week's goal, one lucky winner, if they hit that goal there button, will receive a Brew and Activate. So this is hot off the presses. Love this hat. Super comfortable, super warm. This is the Brew and Activate hat. You can always check that out over on our show. We have a bunch of other stickers and hats and a whole bunch of other things, which we'll get into in a second. But this one we're giving away for one lucky winner. So if you want to pick up that goal, go ahead and do that. We'd love to help you guys support the channel and again keep this stuff ad free, so you guys get us in full unfettered access. So All right. Did you know that we got a podcast now? There have been folks asking for those that may be on the road a lot more often and not be able to catch us live, but want to go back to replay. Well, now you can pull down the full entire podcast, all the episodes from our lovely link there. So check us out. Let us know what you like, but it's pretty much the entire show that you see here. So you won't going to miss anything. You're not going to see, anything that's been chopped out. You're going to get us exactly how you see us on our live stream every week. So yeah, love to get the feedback on that. It's those that actually are listening to it. Let us know what you think about that. You can obviously hit us up in the chat, or definitely email us, or hit us over on the Discord. And as always, we've got a really cool couple of things going on now. We got a storefront, and that's over at livefreeandham.com/shop. And we've got a bunch of great new things coming up. Obviously, they got the beanie hat there. You can pick up the stickers, everything brew and activate. But I know Shannon's got a couple of new items in the storefront that are selling like hotcakes. So, Shannon, you got to let people know what's going on.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that know, I know I've mentioned it here before. I started an event a couple years ago. It's on March 8th. It's International Women's Day YL POTA Party, to try and encourage more women to get on the air, be more active, especially active in POTA, since POTA is something that helped me gain so much confidence on the radio in calling CQ and handling pileups. So
Cool.
this year for International Women's Day, I designed a T-shirt, and that T-shirt is now for sale on the Live Free and Ham website.
Yep.
It's a unisex style T-shirt. It's available in a few different colors. Of course, I have pink, but I also have some black, blue, red. So if you're not a pink person, you have your choice of colors there. So make sure get them while they're hot, and then wear them with pride before, during, and after International Women's Day. Let people know, that you're going to be out and on the air that day. March 8th, it's going to
Yep.
be.
Yeah, and just kind of a quick plug, Shannon and a bunch of other great YLs are going to be on Live Free and Ham. So make sure you head over there, check that out, because I think that's going to be a huge party. I mean, the list keeps growing, and I think we're going to have to limit a few because we only have so many available logins in the streaming software here. So, but it's going to be packed, and it's going to be great. And so looking forward to that, and a Women's Day, discussion around that, and a whole bunch of other things. So
yeah, and
really
then
cool.
so Shannon had a question about, is it long sleeve? It is a short sleeve T-shirt, but if you would like long sleeve, Shannon, we can put together a long sleeve version of that for you, which might not be a bad idea because March up here in New England is not always conducive to an outdoor POTA activation. So people always tell me, like, Shannon, you picked a terrible time to have this event, and I'm like, but International Women's Day is this day, so I can't change the day of the event. I'm having it this day for this particular reason. But so I will add a long sleeve version just for you, Shannon, and I'm sure some other ladies will appreciate that as well. So thank you for the recommendation.
Very cool. Yeah, and see, you ask and you shall receive. That's the way it goes. So if you want to see some cool stuff, or you're looking for something specific, definitely let us know. Hit us up. We'll be glad to put those out there, just so you can wear Brew and Activate or Shannon stuff, or even N1JUR. I'm wearing my famous, co-ed naked POTA Rove shirt here. So if you're into that and you remember that in the early '90s, that was the craze. We all had them. So, we're just kind of adding to that and putting our little spin on it.
That shirt cracked me up. Like, that was like the first time I ever met you in person was at the 24-hour POTA camp out, and you were wearing that shirt. And I was like, man, I remember those shirts.
Yep. Totally.
Maybe we need to come up with some kind of, like, remember bomb equipment, but we need to make it ham radio somehow.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we got the little notes here. We sound like a brainstorming session. Ham inspired shirts. 80s shirts. I can already see, N2MAK is not in the chat, I'm sure, but, I'm sure now that we're talking about T-shirts and stuff like that, we'll definitely start hearing from him. So very cool. All right. Well, and always, heck, if you haven't already, and we want to encourage you, we want you guys to come obviously enjoy all the content that we do, that we put out, and we on our channels here. So make sure if you haven't had a chance, head on over to Shannon's channel, my channel as well, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you always get notified when we go live, obviously with Brew and Activate or just in general on our channels. It's totally free, helps us out, and gets us out there into people's feeds. And if you've got access to the hype button, please definitely hype us up. Make sure you let folks know, because that hype points, I guess, apparently gets us more into other people's feeds that might not be, we'll say ham specific. And so maybe, we'll continue to grow the hobby and get more people involved. So yeah, definitely, if you can help out in that way, we'd appreciate it. And finally, you can always join the conversation, whether we're talking about POTA, whether we're talking about anything related, over at the Live Free and Ham Discord. There is a specific channel for Brew and Activate over there. So we'd love to have you. We always kind of pick up the conversation after every show over there. People submit feedback, show suggestion ideas, that type of stuff. So, head on over there, check us out, connect, and come be a part of the great community that's already been in full swing there, and say hello. And finally, as always, we hopefully we'll get Shannon going here once she starts boosting her channel. So start sharing her link out more so we can get her into the whole channel partners thing. But ultimately, we can't get any further with our channels without the great support of folks like Mad Dog Coils, Reliance, Halibut Electronics, and Spool Tenna, and now Seed Studios. So we got a bunch of discount codes and everything over on my website, n1jur.com/discounts. So heck, if you want to get 10% off on some Reliance stuff, or maybe Spool Tenna or Seed Studios, all the codes and everything are up over there. So please go show some love to those guys, because they support our channel here. And we want to make sure we keep them, from shuttering their doors, because we've seen too much. I mean, Quicksilver was the last one I think I saw in terms of businesses falling to the wayside. So yeah, please don't let these guys, fall and succumb to that too as well. Help them out, support them as well. And that brings us to our usual POTA Minute. So let's dive over there for a quick POTA Minute. All right, well, let's add Shannon in here. For some reason, she is not in the view here. So let me add her. Yeah, see, right, exactly. See what happens, guys? See what happens? Here we go. All right, we'll throw that in here. There we go. There's Shannon.
Now I'm taking over.
Yeah, now you dominate. That's the way it goes. All right, cool. Excellent. All right. So with this is the POTA Minute. So this is where we kind of talk about a POTA topic that I think kind of deserves a little airtime. This week is kind of in the spirit of RFing around and finding out, as we've been obviously witness to, and maybe you've tuned in to the usual annual. I think it's been doing 9-10 years now with Josh, KI6NAZ, Ham Radio Crash Course does his tune up the lights video, which is always a hoot to watch. Or maybe you're like Prep Ham Paul, and he's tuning up electric blankets now. I don't know what the deal is with that, but apparently he's taking on some bigger challenges there. So yeah, not to say that I'm saying let's stretch our imagination, although you're more than welcome to. I'm always curious to see what you tune up. I know folks like K-Murder and stuff like that have gone out and tuned up, full chain link fences and stuff. But I want to encourage you guys that as you're kind of activating in the new year, to kind of stretch yourself a little bit. If you're a lot like me, you might maybe, use a specific style antenna, in all your activations, because you've kind of become comfortable and things just seem to work really well for you. So I'm going to say this year, whether you're a builder or, you buy commercially kind of, activator, try doing a little bit something different with an antenna in your kit there. So maybe if you're a vertical guy, why don't we get yourself an end-fed wire, try to set that up, learn some skill, help tune up, your knowledge of, RF and antennas and just that whole aspect, and kind of stretch yourself this year. So kind of put that on your goal bucket list there to get you motivated to want to, try to learn how to make an end fed work, or maybe an off-center fed dipole, or maybe you've got, some bigger plans. I know Walt, K4OGO, Coastal Wave and Wires, he's always out there doing some brand new antenna that, he saw in a book that was, an antenna book that was 30 years ago or something like that. So yeah, definitely get out, try something new, and, learn a little bit more, because remember, we get our licenses because they're licenses to learn, and they're not, things that we just put on a shelf and just, move on from. So yeah, get out, try something new. All right. And lastly, let me go back to our usual, here we go, is our, man, yeah, hey, Shannon's in that view. Awesome. Okay. So the last one is the POTA bucket list. So those that might know or have already submitted to this, I've been alluding to that we're going to start something new in January with the POTA bucket list. So I am here to announce that, in January, I'm going to run an invite only live stream, again, with those that are obviously on the POTA bucket list that have already subscribed and submitted. So if you've got time and you want to, head on over to n1jur.com/POTA-bucket-list. Submit your kind of bucket list items you want to achieve in the new year with POTA, and I'll make sure you're on that invite list. And again, it's really just kind of a community-driven. We're going to talk about, obviously, some of our setups, our kits, and things of that nature, but we're going to try to stretch each other with each other's goals, see how we're doing. All with the intention that, we get out there and do more POTA, and we get out there and get activate more. We learn more. We start to expand our kits. We share and kind of grow from there. So if that's something that interests you and you want to get involved in that, please head on over, get on the bucket list, and I'll make sure I get you added to our private live stream list and send out the date and times for that. And looking forward to seeing everybody and hopefully learning some new things. I'm definitely sure we're going to. All right. Whew. With that, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. Shannon, do you have any more Boxing Day tidbits you want to throw in there?
Well, let's see. Now, in the UK, Boxing Day is traditionally when you put on a jumper, drink tea strong enough to strip paint, and go for a brisk walk in the park, which is British for standing in the cold rain questioning your life choices. So obviously, ham radio operators looked at that and said, yes, but what if we also brought antennas?
I don't know about the tea. I can't drink brown water. I'll drink coffee, but
I mean, British hams have been doing portable radio in weather conditions that would cause Americans to immediately QRT, file a complaint, and post on Facebook.
Oh, ow, that hurts. You throwing the British, tea at us again? Come on, this is ridiculous. All right. Please throw a super chat in if you don't want to hear any more of the Britishisms from Shannon. $15 super chat if you want to continue to hear more there. So good on that one.
What is it? It's £5 if you want to keep hearing Britishisms, or £15 if you don't want to hear them anymore.
There you go. Totally good. Oh boy. All right. Okay, let's just kick that one off there real quick. I'm going to throw a few. I have in the giving spirit today, so I've got a bunch of super chats that I'd love to give out to folks that want to be members. So feel free. We got a bunch in there, and Shannon just tagged them in a bit, and we'll circle back around. And welcome to the ham, N1JUR Brewer Activate community. All right. So with this, let's kind of get into our topic today. As you can see, our thumbnail is so eloquently themed British Boxing Day because Shannon made me do it. But the other thing about tonight is today, I should say, we're talking about is success and struggles in POTA. We all deal with them, and we all kind of either lick our wounds or struggle or
Hello? Did we lose Eric? Uh-oh. Oh no, we lost Eric again. Well, hopefully he comes back to the show. So, am I still on the show, guys?
All right. I must have blipped. Was it me?
Am I still here?
You're there. I see you now. You weren't there earlier. I was there earlier.
You weren't there earlier.
Okay, well then one of us blipped. It must have been me.
Yeah, okay, Shannon said I was still here. Okay, I guess we're
Okay.
back. You were
Yeah.
saying we lick our wounds.
Oh yes, we lick our wounds as I'm trying to set things up here again. Let me hit play again so I make sure we're running here.
Ooh, hey, Jerry KB2
Ooh,
GCG. Thank you for that
very
1999
cool.
super chat.
Awesome.
Merry
Thank you so
Christmas
much,
and a
Jerry.
happy new year to you as well.
Appreciate that, Jerry, as immensely. Can't thank you enough. And so with that, let's, as I was saying, as we lick our wounds, kind of, we're going to talk about success and struggles today. And I'm about, I don't mind sharing our private struggles of like, POTA activations and all of that stuff. But I'm more of the guy that's an action guy, and I like to be able to have some concrete things that we can kind of move forward with. So, here the idea today was it's a listener submitted topic, and so we'll get into who submitted that. But we're going to talk about all of those success and struggles, and I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios of some that happened, and we're going to keep this kind of high level general stuff because, we could definitely get into the weeds very fast with this one. So, with that, let's kind of get into it. So first and foremost, I am going back to the whiteboard. Sorry, Shannon, I must have my whiteboard.
You should have been a teacher, Eric. You love the whiteboard.
No, I married one. Is that enough? That
Oh,
qualifies
well,
and checks
there
that
you
column.
go. Okay. It all makes sense now.
Yep. See? So, all right. Well, with that, over to my lovely whiteboard today. So with that, I'm going to minimize as much of my interaction with it, just kind of more give you guys a little bit high level bullet points and stuff like that. But like, as I alluded to, this is a listener submitted topic. So Rabbit Ham, I don't know if I saw him in the chat there at all. He submitted this over on Brew and Activate on the Discord there. So I thank you again for the topic there, Rabbit. And, as well, I invite all you guys to as well. If you got a topic you want us to kind of dive into and do a little, exploratory, surgery on, feel free to head on over to the Discord there. Or email us or hit us up, any which way you can, and submit your topic, and we'd love to, tear through them and take them on, no matter how big or small. Or maybe if you got a guest, like Perry was a perfect example last week. We finally had him on, and everybody loved it. That site POTA.news is phenomenal and is definitely a great resource for the POTA community, and I'm looking forward to seeing that explode and continue to grow there. All right, so let's stop here real quick. Shannon, you want to kind of go through some of the quick memberships there that, so we can get all those out of the way before we get into?
Yeah, so we got N1 Easy NH got a membership, How to Ham Tom, Kyle Casey9 IMA, Frank got one, KG6NLW, and WH6FBP. So congratulations to all those peoples who got memberships to Eric's channel.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate the support, and we'll definitely rope you guys into the membership, there in a bit after. So thank you again for all being part of that. All right. So we're going to kind of start this off a little bit with my whiteboard session, but I like to kind of, start from a rough question here. And so I'm going to throw this out to the chat, and Shannon, if you could just tag folks that, kind of pop feedback is, I'm going to ask a question, what was your biggest kind of POTA challenge? Do you guys deal with like propagation, your power, what logistics, like what's your nemesis when you go out and activate? What do you find that you constantly always struggle with? Is it, in any one of those categories? I'm always curious to see what people deal with and struggle with. I know, Shannon, you don't, because you hardly ever fail, but that's totally fine.
No, you know what my biggest nemesis is Miles.
It's a people thing.
To be honest, probably like one of the only times that I had to end an activation before I actually, got my 10 contacts was I had Miles with me. It must have been in the summer, not this summer. I think it was last summer. And I tried to take him to Breakheart Reservation. I can't remember the park designation of that, but there's a playground in the middle of the park there. It's in the woods. There's like a lake with a beach that people swim in. And Miles, he like made friends with this little girl and he like wanted to go off on a journey with this other little girl. I'm like, "Kid, you can't just leave with some other child and their family. You got to stay here." So I ended up having to wrap it up and go QRT and be like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sometimes my phone is like my child. If I'm in the middle of the day and the damn phone's constantly ringing off the hook, I have to answer it. So it is always a struggle there. Although I don't have to leave. Well, sometimes I have to leave the park. Sometimes I can defer. But it looks like someone did hit the goal today. I can't see who in here. Let me see. It's gifted memberships. Was it? You want to scan back here? Give me a sec. I know someone hit the goal up and I didn't see it. My apologies on there. Why I'm not seeing it, I don't know. But looks like someone did definitely hit the goal there. I will go back and take a look at that one. It doesn't tell me who, sadly, but I'll figure that out in a second. So, yep, we definitely got the hat out of the way. I mean, if someone in the chat knows who did it, let me know, please. So, I can definitely, make sure we get that in our list here and get that out to you. And so I think Jabberdaws said her biggest issue is only when we do group POTA activations and trying to get everyone to stop talking.
Honestly, that is a problem because look at what happened at the 24-hour POTA. We were having that problem. Even when we were over at the McAuliffe Center, I was kind of having that problem where, I know people want to kind of stand around the radio and talk, but then you're trying to like pick those, weak signals out, or, people with accents or whatever. And it does make it a little hard to hear.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you guys in the chat. Appreciate that so much. Jerry, thank you, Did, for the super chat there. Appreciate that. And thank you again, K-Booty, for letting us know who that is. So I will get that out to you, Jerry. And thank you again for keeping this stream, ad-free. So we always enjoy the support, and thank you guys so much for that. So excellent. Yes. I can say, I can understand that. Yes, it's always a challenge. People love to talk around you while you're on the radio, and there were a few. I know Todd got a little flustered during the 24-hour POTA a couple times because too many people were too loud. So I totally understand that. All right. Well, with that, we're going to kind of get into what I'll call a little bit of framework and case study here, because this is, my business hat on, even though I've got the Brew and Activate beanie on here. We're going to kind of give you a little bit of a framework. So in the spirit of Dodgeball, the movie, I kind of did the 5 R's of the POTA activation. And so the 5 R's are, let me
R.
R is readiness, radio, reach. We'll call that propagation specifically. Records, we'll call logging, and recovery. And recovery is in regards to circling back and doing a, root cause analysis, we'll say, of, how things progressed, how your activation did. And so these are kind of the 5 R's that I use when I get out there, and I'm kind of doing a mental checklist of all of my activities during the activation. I use, obviously, because I stream some of my POTA activations or record them, I usually use that as, kind of supporting information to see how I might have done something a little different in the setup, or, how I am communicating when I'm making contacts, or if I'm doing FT8, how that all setup works. So, this is kind of the mental checklist that I use when I get out there and I activate. And so let's kind of I'll quickly explain kind of the things around why I've got them this way. Is readiness is obviously, your preps, your checklists, gear availability. That is the toughest thing for me. And that's my nemesis. I have mentioned on several POTA's live streams in general, Lift Free and Ham. I always forget my freaking antenna. Why I forget my freaking antenna? Because in my brain, I'm thinking like, oh, I've got my antenna on my truck, but I'm going out to do an activation on a park bench. I can't bring my truck to the park bench a lot of times, and nor am I going to run a 50 to 100 foot coax cable out to my truck to use my ATAS 120 when I should have just brought my antenna to begin with. So yeah, those are kind of the things that we'll talk into a little bit and dive a little deeper on. Radio, obviously that's pretty straightforward, but I have heard some stories where a few folks thought they were bringing their radio and then they ended up having a bag full of batteries, or maybe like the sundry items like your power battery, antenna coax. That's always a big one. Or maybe you're, trying to tune and you rely on a, SWR kind of meter like a Rig Expert or, Nano VNA or that type of stuff. The other one is what we'll call reach, but this is like more in the propagation space. And so we're talking like, band choices during the day, like what's better for the middle of the day versus being early in the morning or, later in the afternoon. Where you're kind of, looking to make contacts with, is it more DX based? Are you doing more stateside? You're finding you're getting more NVIS contacts. And then all of the typical band propagation stuff plays into that, meaning, solar flares, and all of those tend to really just kind of muddle the waters, we'll say, in the sense of people just, may or may not know how to deal with those scenarios, or they struggle with, getting in too deep with those. And then they, I know a lot of people, like, here's the example of like, they'll look at the solar indices and look at the KNA index because someone said, hey, look at the KNA index. And if this number is this, and if this number is that, then your POTA experience is going to be, equal to, this. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
this is an estimate.
You really can't trust that because I know one of those times that Grouch and I did a activation, I think it was when he was working towards the kilo. It's like every band said poor conditions day and night. And, it's like the, what is it? The K index is the one that's the noise level. And it was like 5.
Yeah, which is
But
pretty
I mean,
bad.
that was one of the days that we made tons of contacts really, really quickly and easily. So that was like the day that we got at least 5 YLs on the air, which was amazing. I had never heard so many YLs, and I'm sure Shannon K1LY was one of them. Man, Eric is having some trouble here. According to my thing, he just dropped out. So, yeah, we're talking about, using headphone splitters to split the receive audio, mic splitters to split the mic audio. Yeah, welcome back.
Man, yeah, I know. Like, I don't like literally there's nobody at home. I don't know what's happening with internet in the neighborhood today. I am literally going to start dumping Comcast faster than, yesterday's news. This is utterly ridiculous.
Faster than the colonists dumped the tea in the harbor.
Nice segue there, girl. Nice segue. Yes, my apologies on the internet, guys. This is really ridiculous. I'm surprised I'm having this many problems, but hey, why not? It's a day after everyone's probably at home in the neighborhood. All right. Following back on, we're into the next R of records or logging. We all know that paper is the way to go if you're, on Shannon's camp. But, you might have electronic logging there. How to manage that better, how to deal with those pieces, and making sure you have backups to your backups, or at least understanding how to recover if, things might fall over. Although I have to say that a lot of the developers these days are getting better with their apps and having, what we call fail-safe recoveries. So it's there's your POTA instigator. That, it's always, it's less of a problem, but something you should still keep in the back of your mind. And the last one, obviously, is return, or what I call recovery here. This is kind of just do a quick mental checklist of, or maybe you're a person that likes to jot down notes. I, for a while, was keeping a small little writer's rain notebook in my pack that basically allowed me to follow, as a post-mortem process, hey, what worked well, what didn't, and I just jot down a few notes so I would have it. And it got me kind of thinking more in the sense of like, okay, I can improve this better, I can make this more stable. And kind of thinking, small little bits and chunks of my whole activation in a better light. So always good to have that as a kind of journaling effect. So enough of that. Let's take a little break here. You want to throw in a couple of more, Boxing Day things while I set up our case studies here.
Oh gosh, let's see. What can I throw in here? Yeah, so if all POTA activations were done in Britain, the pileups would be polite, respectful, everyone
Oh,
taking turns. None of this QRZ again, again, again. No,
uh,
no. It'd be after you, mate. No, after you. Cheers.
was this a Chat GPT, British Chat GPT? And
Can't give away my secrets.
oh, yes. Sorry, my mistake. Behind Shannon spent multiple hours by candlelight and quill pen to sit down and pen these over parchment paper, as they say. So awesome. All right, so we got five case studies here that I kind of put together. And again, these are just very light kind of things. Not every activation, most of them, I should say, falls kind of in some of these general categories here for me. So we're going to kind of just talk through them a little bit here with the idea that, again, failure is an option, as we've always said here on Live Freehand, but it's with the idea give him a mic. Come on. That, we all want to get better. We all want to continue to enjoy this hobby. And, for we learn through these failures at the same time that the next person that comes along that does POTA with us, well, heck, we can, bump up the next level to getting them to be more successful because you've already done, all the school of hard knocks and struggled with, some of your activations that you can share those, but at the same time, give them, good tips and tricks to avoiding them in the future. So let's talk about case A here, Captain. With that, low power weak signals. This one was kind of apropos, I think, for the season that we're in. Bands like 10 meters and some of the lower bands tend to be a little bit better during this type of season, but at the same time, there are also a lot of ebbs and flows of, being able to have, enough contacts or being able to, have minimized less noise floor or just, things like trying to pull weak signals out. I know if you first get into doing POTA and you kind of had the mentality in the back of your head that, I'm just going to get on the radio and I'm just going to spin the dial and I'll find this free spot and I'll be able to just call CQ and they'll come, run into me kind of thing. One of the things that we fall trapped to is that, the band conditions could be really bad. So say you're on 10 meters and, you spin the dial and you hear a bunch of DX stations, but nobody on, stateside can hear you at all in 10 meters. And you're just getting a few DX, contacts or maybe your signal or your power levels. If you're running, say, QRP, like 20 watts or less, you're struggling to get out. What you can do to fix some of that? Well, maybe look into your antennas because a lot of times a vertical might not perform as well as a wire in that sense and being able to, be putting the wigglies out efficiently. You might be running longer coax than you really need to. Like you could be pouring most of the power that you're putting out, either QRP or, via barefoot, running 100 watts or less. You might be just burning that out as heat through your cable because your cable's too long or too lossy. Things like that can be looked at and you can try to figure out how to improve along that. Or, the simpler things like wrong band, wrong time. Don't activate on a band, that's made for, evening hours. Like, don't try to get out and activate on 80 in the middle of the day. Probably won't, get a whole lot of contacts on 80 there. But, same thing kind of goes for 20 or 40. Those bands tend to be better either morning times or afternoon times. Again, depending on where the gray line lands and a number of other things. So kind of learn to study some of those and watch, when you're doing those activations, how the bands play out. Like, what are you hearing? What are you seeing for signals? Where are people coming from? And that'll kind of help you understand a little bit of the propagation stuff and then give you that one more step to go a little bit further into learning, well, okay, how does 20 meters behave at this time of the day versus other times of the day? And kind of just, learn the nomenclature, as they say, so you're a better operator. And, anything you want to add to that, Shannon?
I mean, I would say if people aren't using the maximum usable frequency map, hopefully
Hmm.
everybody here knows about that. That is really a great way to tell what bands, not only what bands are open, but what bands are going to be open where, right? Because it's like you can look at what the maximum usable frequency is over your location. But, so say 10 meters might be open over Massachusetts, but you want to talk to somebody over in England, but their maximum usable frequency is, 14 megahertz or something. You're not going to be able to use 10 meters to talk from, Massachusetts to England if the maximum usable frequency on their end isn't the same. So,
Yep. Yep.
that's actually one of my favorite tools is the maximum usable frequency map.
Yep. And Jerry posted in there, use the drop map is also important. That's definitely a great resource there as well. And this actually might be a kind of an interesting spin-off. I think a future topic might be getting into some of the tools that we use to deal with, dealing with propagation and stuff like that. Because learning how to read the muff and luff map is definitely interesting and a challenge if you've never done it before. Using tools like the drap and all of those other, whisper and a few others can definitely help you understand how propagation is at that, kind of moment in time. So definitely, a good topic to kind of dive in further. And I've got a little note here to maybe add that to the topics list. So, we'll bring you some knowledge in that area, I think for sure, because it's a really good, open eyes kind of moment when you start to see, oh my, this is how it actually looks. Yep. And so, yeah, PSK muff and ham clock. Yep. In the background here, I've got the geochron there. It's all set up with the gray line and the, SFI index and a whole bunch of other stuff and muff and luff. So it's always helpful and definitely a great, source to have at your fingertips. So good on that one. Okay. All right. So those are kind of the simple things. So like some of the fixes when you come to low power, like I said, antenna design is a big thing. So knowing your equipment if kind of, is important, how to, get the best out of your verticals, how to get the best out of your wires, and then work backwards from there, kind of do a process of deduction. And I'm sure you'll start to see improvements as you start to improve some of those areas, coax, antennas, radio, that type of stuff. All right. The next one is our case study B, propagation surprises. So with that, we all deal with noise floors, poor sunspots, RF, issues, X flares, all of those. Now, a lot of people may or may not know that when you do have X flares and things of that nature and sunspots happening, it doesn't affect everybody everywhere. It will affect people in some spots more than others. So knowing how to look at those and realize where they're coming from and where the most big impact is to these sunspots and, changes in noise floor and changes in just general overall audio noise is something that you want to kind of learn. So an example would be like a while back, I can't remember how long ago, we had a class X4 or 5 flare that was pretty detrimental to a lot of radio propagation. Now, that did affect more of the higher latitudes, say in the North America region. But some people in the lower 48 may not have experienced it as much. So it's understanding where you sit on the map and then how you react to those certain conditions when they do pop up. So, if you've got local QRM that might be causing it, or sunspot cycle considerations, those are things that you want to obviously use your ears to hear and then look to see what the conditions are and then appropriately try to pick bands that might be a little bit less susceptible to some of those issues. And there's not one specific band per se that is, we'll say, better than others when it comes to HF. But, you might have the capabilities or might want to include the capabilities for things like 6 meters and VHF and UHF in your kit, because you'd be very surprised that during some very high, RF conditions or where you're getting solar flares and sunspots, those bands might be better for you to be able to do activations on, and you might actually be able to, bang out 10 contacts on 6 meters, whereas, on a very good day, not, experience any of that. Now, do you use any of that, any of the high bands at all, Shannon, when you go activate?
What, like 40, 60, 80?
No, like 20, 220, 70, 60,
Oh,
6
like,
meters. Yeah.
um, well, I've done some like 2 meter, 70 centimeter, but mostly that was just, handheld to handheld, kind of being silly, activating with someone in the same park.
Yep.
Although I did when I was at, the Nahant Revere, not Revere, Nahant Reservation, US 2445.
Hmm.
I did call out on my mobile radio, the FTM 500 with 50 watts on the calling frequency 14652 and what is it, 446.
Yep.
And I ended up getting, I think his call sign is KB1TOY, and he lives over in Somerville, and he's usually monitoring. So I was able to get him on both those bands simplex from my park. So that was pretty cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I don't play much in that space. I should start to do that more myself. I haven't done a lot of 6 meter stuff except from here in the shack, but I think it might be worthwhile. And a great resource, obviously, in learning to get a better setups and learning all those bands is head over to check out Mike N2MAK. He does phenomenal when it comes to, a lot of those high bands with 6 meters, 2 meter, 440, 220. Great examples. And he just gets out there and leaves no band behind as his motto. So, he is one of a great resource to be able to find, more on that stuff to get, your setups incorporated into, your POTA experiences when the bands aren't cooperating for those days. All right. What else we got? Oh, yeah. I'd throw in there. This kind of, again, goes back to the topic before with propagation, but use things like the beacons. There are many beacons on 10 meters. And if you can hear those beacons, then you can kind of get a better idea of what propagation might be like, because if you know where they're physically residing, you can get an idea of how signals are, kind of traversing through the atmosphere there. And those might be at least a better indicator to see how you might be able to optimize, taking on those, contacts in bands that are better performing than, other, ones that are more commonly used. Okay. Let's see here. Any other things in the chat there, Shannon, want to highlight?
Yeah, no, there Chris KD9YSW said he got N10G on 5.2 from US 1458.
Wow. Yeah, well, there
So,
you go.
yeah, I just said, we all should really be trying more on, 70 sems, 1.25 meters, 2 meter, 6 meter, 10 meter, because 10 meters is technically, it sort of has, characteristics of both VHF and HF. So, try some 10 meter simplex FM and, get on the local repeater, right? And even just say, hey, I'm at park, da da da. If anyone wants to listen to for me on simplex, this frequency, see if you can hear me, give a shout out. We'll make a contact, to get more local people involved
Right.
in POTA, not just, seeing how far you can reach on the DX.
Very cool. All right. Well, definitely a good tip there for sure. And yeah, keep it going. Definitely, Chris. Those are always great bands to even make during good times too, as well. I know I made a few just to round out, or I jumped in the truck kind of after I've packed everything up and made a few more contacts. So always good to do that. All right. Next one is case study C is gear failure on site. We all know what that's like. We have all had a half charged or, no charge battery because we've got to plug in the battery charger the night before. You may have a broken rig in some form or fashion, either, a physical, problem with the equipment or, something that might be internally set wrong. I have had a scenario that kind of comes to mind, or I had my 91 when I first started, and I was fooling around with FT8 prior at home, and I forgot how to somehow in my adjustments in my 891, and everybody knows how the 891 has a very, very deep menu. You can set a few settings in there wrong, and you could mess up your audio, and you can mess up a few things. And so when I was tweaking it for FT8, I just decided at one time to nuke and pave and not save the settings or write them down, and I reset them to factory, and I messed up all of my sideband settings on top of that. So I went out and did the activation, and I'm like, why can't people hear me? Why are they having issues? And, all of that because I didn't spend the time having a, kind of a quick cheat sheet of all of my 891 settings that I could reset if I ended up having to do a factory reset. Learned my lesson now, but definitely one of those things that you might want to have for your own radios, because as we start to see more and more of the technology kind of improve and get better, we're going to get more and more software-defined stuff. So less knobs and more kind of menu settings to kind of go through and, tweak things. So, always good to have that documented, understand those components so you can adjust accordingly. Or like I remember an activation, kind of ironic, Grouch, myself, and one of my other ham buddies in our club, we decided to hike pack, and Grouch brought up his 891, and his 891 got stuck in lower sideband mode, and we couldn't for the life of us figure how to get it out of lower sideband mode on 20 meters. So like we for like 20 minutes, we were up on top of pack, we're called in CQ, and people are like, they can't hear us. And we're like, what is going on? And Grouch is getting, flustered and pissed off. He's like, why is the radio in lower sideband? I don't understand it. So we're like on our phones, on the internet, watching YouTube videos to try to take it out of lower sideband. It was kind of comical. It happens. It's one of those things. If you don't know how to operate your gear, well, you're the only one at fault. It's really what it boils down to. So, yeah. Think about some of those fixes. So gear feelers, this is kind of obvious, but redundant power. I mean, bring a spare battery if you can. That's always something you can think of. And it doesn't have to be the same capacity. It can be definitely smaller. Or you can be like Shannon and bring a 100 amp hour battery in a POTA wagon. That's too much for me. I could not carrying a 100 amp hour battery. You could also put in alternatives. Like, I know a few hams that have done videos when they do more on the soda side, but they'll like a smaller, 9 amp hour battery, 4.5 amp hour battery, enough to power on lower power for if you're running an 891. You could run it 25 watts and still get away with that type of battery to finish off an activation, or get into solar. I have all of that. I drank the tea, as they say, and bought the solar panel and the MPPT controller. I don't think I've used it once. So it's like one of those things. It's like, you damned if you are, damned if you don't. But, it's good to have. Maybe one day I'll use it, or by the time I actually need to call upon it, I probably won't have it with me. But all good there. And then check your connectors. I made a PSA announcement last week about looking at your coax that everybody loved, thought it was hilarious. I think I had Perry rolling on the floor from it. Basically that you got to check your coax during, winter, and in general once a year. The same thing kind of goes with all your connectors. Like I have run across a few people's radios that the power pole connectors are sketch. Like, it's like, dude, have you looked at this? And like, no, it's been working fine. I'm like, yeah, it's also a fire hazard, but you never know what might happen in the future. You tell me. So yeah, doing that little, kind of spot check every once in a while when you're not ready to go out to do an activation, but like when you come back home, give yourself that time, help yourself out in the long run, replace those things, and get yourself back on track with that. Any stories around any of your gear failure, Shannon, or, do you pack to the gills?
No, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head of a gear failure.
Okay.
But yeah, we're only as good as our gear, right? So, definitely taking some time to, check the connectors and take good care of our radios and our equipment, and it will take good care of us, and it'll last a long time.
Yep. 100%. For sure. And yeah, Shannon, that was an epic PSA. I crafted that, so eloquently, and Perry thought I was going to get into some general, health, thing as you turn 50, kind of deal. And he was on the floor laughing. So that was great, fun little POTA minute there. Yeah.
But yeah,
So
everybody's talking about like batteries and backup power. So,
yeah.
I can't wait for the video to come out with Grouch and I on him chasing the kilo and his battery I don't battery snafu, I guess we
Yes.
could
No, it's a
call it.
battery gate. Everything's a gate.
Yeah, battery gate. And, are you sure you charge these batteries? Yes. But, every single activation we did, those batteries died every time.
Hmm.
And, it's a good thing he had two batteries plus a car jump starter pack because we wouldn't have made that kilo if it wasn't for that. So, yes,
Well, but
two
you
is
did have
one.
your 100 amp
One
hour
is
with you, didn't you?
it was all the way back at my car at the Walmart parking
Oh,
lot 20 minutes away. I should have brought it.
yeah, I should have. Otherwise you'd have to do the walk of shame.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to do the walk of shame when you're, chasing the kilo, and Ham Radio Hef, he is a braver man
Oh
than
my
any of
gosh,
us.
we go to the mall.
He said he's going to the mall. Is that guy
Mhm.
nuts?
Well, yeah, I'll raise my hand. That's where I'm off to after this because all the wife has got gift cards and stuff like that. So they're burning a hole in her pocket. So that's where
Oh
I'll probably be going.
boy, you
Yep.
guys.
Yep. I'm a brave soul. So excellent. Yeah. So there's the tip, and I think gear failures is obviously probably the most common thing a lot of people struggle with in some form or fashion. So just take a little extra time and work through that, and it will help you out. And always ask other POTA guys and gals, what do you guys do? What do you have for gear? Observe, and you'll find that they've already been through those pitfalls and they've got better gear because they know that this stuff is reliable. And so, yeah, just kind of buy what they buy and you'll be fine in most cases without too much effort there. All right. Next one is logging and logistics. So this is the meltdown. We used to have these very early, 2000, 2021 POTAs. People very vividly remember maybe if you were an electronic logger, not Polo, because Polo wasn't on the scene back then. It was Hammers, and Hammers would crash on you randomly. So you would be running the app and you'd be logging and you hit a key combination or you did something stupid, and lo and behold, the app would crash and you'd lose your entire log and there was no way to recover. Well, with that, I think logging apps have gotten better in the future, but this is one of those things, again, you might want to think about how you're looking at your logging. It might be one way is like, I know in some cases when my logging fails, although, I can't apply that to the 24-hour POTA because we've had so many failures with the live stream that I can't piece together enough of the contacts, and we didn't hear all of the, the audio from that. So long story short is that if you do maybe record in your YouTube or something like that, some of the folks actually record their, POTA activations, and that way they have a backup to contacts that they might have made. And again, the whole rule is if you missed it, I get it. Some hunters may follow up with you, and at that point, you can have that discussion with them. But don't fret if you can't always submit a full log for whatever reason, or you can only piece something together. Know that we have a little compassion for you because that stuff does happen. But there is ways to avoid that, and I know Shannon's got a perfect reason, way to avoid that.
Honestly, I was just looking for my paper logbook and it's not right next to my computer
Oh.
where it usually is, so I can't hold it up. But just pretend that I'm holding up my paper log. Paper
Hmm.
logs never crash, guys,
Yeah,
unless the
that is for
dog
sure.
eats it, which did happen to me once. Luckily, the dog only ate the spine of the log notebook, didn't eat the actual pages, so the pages were safe. But don't stick wooden pencils into the spiral binding of your logbook if you have a dog that likes to chew on wooden pencils.
Oh, interesting.
There,
I
there's
never knew.
my PSA.
No more wooden pencils unless they're the spring-loaded versions. Lead.
Well, right, that I use propelling pencils now.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, my mistake. Yes, I forgot what the British call them. So, actually, this is a good pause here. Any other additional, Boxing Day?
Any additional Boxing Day tidbits? Um, okay. So today on this very proper Boxing Day episode, we're embracing the full British fantasy, parks, portable radios, questionable weather, strong opinions about tea, and using POTA as an excuse to disappear into a field with a radio and call it tradition.
Amen. Yes. There's nothing wrong with tradition.
So grab
Especially
your
when
thermos, apologize to your family, and if it's raining where you are, congratulations, you're now British.
oh no, it's nice and sunny where I'm at. Sorry. I must be American. So with logging, back to logging, because we know the British don't log. I'm just causing many problems for myself, I think. All right. So, in terms of logging contacts, we all have our ways to work around that. But again, know that there's a ways out of that. There's always paper. There's always helpful. Recording is a few others. I know there was a couple of folks mentioning too in the chat, if you've got logging apps that you actually, you're not a paper logger and you are an electronic logger. A few have followed the time true tradition of exporting their ADIF right as they're completed with their logs and sending it off to thumb drive, so they had a backup copy. Some people use cloud services if they have internet, like iCloud and Google Drive and all that stuff, to send all their logs up. Whatever method you use, taking that little extra time, especially after you have finished the activation, to get your log up safe and secure, will go a long way for making less loss of sleep and heavy caffeinated sessions for yourself. So always a good thing to take that little extra time. Some of the other things, obviously Shannon's got that logging book, but if you got simple backup things like a pre-printed sheet, and here's a scenario that's kind of happened to me once or twice, would be like I'm in the middle of an activation and my battery on my tablet is running low, and I've got like 10% or 5% or a couple of percent, and I'm like, well, I got to continue to log. I always have a couple of paper lined notebook. I also have a paper lined individual sheets for logging that allow me to log very quickly, just in case. And I always have a backup pens and paper and all that other stuff. So having that in the background will help you in the moment when you panic that you won't be able to complete your log or finish it off, and you want to be able to continue to do the activation, even though your electronics decide to take a break. So what else we got here? Last one, poor station setup. This one kind of I had to separate this up a little because I felt like gear failure was an important one to kind of highlight, but at the same time, poor station setup encompasses my comfort approach. And so those that know me, I love comfort. I love, being able to not have to stress over feeling super cold, super wet, super, hot, the whole 9 yards. I will spend the extra time and money and resources to have comfy chairs, good tables, water, everything in between, with the idea that if you have a poor setup and you're setting up on top of a milk crate, or, and you're sitting on a rock, you're not going to really enjoy that activation for a long time. And because eventually it's going to be, one of those things that's like, you're getting poked in the butt, or, you're just dealing with all of these things that, are making it more difficult to actually make a contact. Same kind of goes with when you do it with a multi-group activation. I know Shannon Jabberjaws in there was saying she was doing some group activations. It was hard for her to hear with the headphones. Same thing kind of goes with, the pass the mic thing. Make sure you got a couple of mics so you're not constantly, dropping. And what are you shaking your head? No. Are you the type that has to hand the mic over to everybody?
Yes.
That's so annoying. It's so annoying. So many germs. Just kidding. Not that I care. But yeah, I always like the pass the mic. Funny story was I went out to do an activation in the Cape with Chris Whiskey 8 CJL, good friend of mine, and him and his son Parker were there, and there was 3 of us. And we ended up, doing pass the mic for a while. And I was like, damn it, I have the splitter in my bag. And once we did that, activations got a heck of a lot faster, because at that point, we weren't handing the mic or, having to write and lose and, all this craziness. It just made it simpler. So kind of doing those creature comforts will go a long way for both the people obviously participating and you as well, for not having to, deal with it, because we all know that, if you're with your many people, the noise floor in general locally goes up. So trying to remember or hear a call or whatever, you got someone yelling over the top, hey, that call was blah, blah, blah. And, then you're writing it down and, all that stuff. There's a lot of chaos and craziness already going on. So helping set that environment up will go a long way for, many activation for sure. Anything in those multi-activations, Shannon, that you'd throw in there that you've run into?
No, I mean, just basically kind of the same thing that Shannon was saying about, the trying to hear with the headset. So I think, getting a pair of, headset splitters wouldn't go amiss when you're trying to do a group activation. But then it depends on how many people you have, right? That's the only bad thing is like if you have two people, okay, it's fine because you can have two headsets. But, the more people you have, it does get a little bit more difficult.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't always account for all of that. So you got to credit your best. But when you're running with like one or two people, I find that a few little creature comforts go along the way for all you guys. And especially if you have, like when I activate with Todd, he can never let a log, go, into odd numbers. It always has to be rounded up the next number. He can't, like when he says we're going QRT and two people shout out their call signs, he can't let them go. So it's like you have to like, kind of deal with, all of those scenarios with the idea that people, all come with different operating styles. And so, try to make it all fun and enjoyable for everybody. All right. Well, I think that's enough. So those are kind of the case studies. Hopefully they were helpful for you. It's one of those things that all of us will go through. And I am going to say this up front. If you've just got into POTA, the doors are wide open for all of your failures. And the fun part about this is that when you get together with other POTA folks, share your failures, because we all like to laugh. We all like to joke around. We all share all of our mess ups. I mean, Shannon and I both did it here with, some recent activations, I think, for both of us. So it's one of those things that, it's always good to learn from other people's, life lessons and have fun. And you both, build a connection and both, feel like, hey, yeah, we both can do this. We're both screw ups. We both make major mess ups and, we all laugh about it and move on. So, I mean, that's what I love about the hobby myself. All right. Anything in the chat there that we want to throw out there, Shannon?
Yeah, no, just, talking about, passing the mic again. And the thing that I always said, how are you going to accidentally brush hands with your POTA partner if you're not passing the one microphone?
And that's why we're stacked, so we can't do the hard thing. No. It's you and a Grouch thing. You go do that on his stream.
We did that on Prep Hand Paul's stream,
I know,
right?
I saw that. He made a short out of it. If you want to go see the short, go find the short.
It was hands across
YouTube.
the stream. It was excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We're not, UNICEF and trying to raise money. We are the world. Sorry, I just dated myself. All right. Well, quick wrap up here. Again, I'd say, top three fixes, those basically dealing with gear, propagation, and power and weak signals are obviously important, and good things to always continue to look at and improve for sure. And I would say, you guys, I'm going to throw it out for you. Let me know what your next activation kind of plans are, what you want to do in your own kits there. Share that in the,
Uh-oh, did we lose Eric again? It's because he made fun of UNICEF and Hands Across
Right.
America that he just got dropped out.
It is. It's definitely, it's damn Comcast. We're going to fix that once and for all.
Do they know
Thank you for
it's
upgrading me, Comcast. I appreciate this. I love being cut out more and more. And I am literally hardwired all the way straight through. So I don't know what the hell this crap is. Anyway. All right. So I am going to put a pin in this one and say, yeah, please, share your future activations or any of the things you might have improved upon with us over in the Live Free and Ham N1JUR Brew and Activate Discord. We want to, see how you guys made out. What improvements are you going to make maybe in the new year? Come share that with us. And as always, I've got a couple of topics here that I kind of spun out from today's, little session here. But if you got a topic you want us to cover, just like Rabbit Ham did, throw that over in the Discord, share it with us, and we'll be glad to kind of bring it up on the next, Brew and Activate here. And as always, I thank all you guys. We couldn't do this without you guys. Appreciate all you guys, the super chats, being members, hanging out with us, spending some time on your day off today. And for those that are braving them all, we salute you and we're with you. But at the same time, get out there, get some, radio time, have some fun with it. And we'll leave it at that. So anything last that we want to add there, Shannon? You got anything going on for the future? Any more live streams you're going to be on? Any more shows you're going to be, booted off of?
Apparently, you just never know where I might show up. So make sure that you, Chris said smash the like button if you like POTA. So definitely like and subscribe if you like POTA. You never know where I'm going to show up. So you better just follow all those ham radio YouTubers, N1OG, Prep Ham Paul, I don't even know who else I can think of off the top of my head, but those are Live Free and Ham.
Thanks. We invite you on all the time. You just ditch us.
Well, I mean, you guys are part of Live Free and Ham, so they should all already be subscribed to Live Free and Ham, N1JUR, N1OG, N2MAK, N3MFL. Subscribe, like and subscribe to me, KC1OHT. But yeah, I mean, when I show up in the chat of a channel and then people say they want to see me on the stream, if they're willing to let me on the stream, I'll show up on the stream. I got to give the fans what they want, right?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. All right. Well, like Shannon said, if you like what you saw, be sure to make sure you subscribe, like, and share this with other fellow POTA enthusiasts. Come join the community. Links are all in the description below and in all of our show notes and on our website. And check out all those wonderful sponsors that are always help the show. Reliance, Mad Dog Spool, Seed Studios, and Spool Tenna. And remember, we gather here every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both Shannon and I, she was at a Christmas play last week. I'm going to state that up front for those that weren't paying attention. So she didn't get booted. She's more than welcome. She is the core host, of the show. So with that, we're going to see you guys next week. Please like, share with the other hams. And as always, until next time, keep those radios on, the PTT down, and POTA on.
POTA on.